There's been a rise in violence in Iraq since the days since October's election, suggesting deepening internal divisions and broader instability. Iranian-linked parties that lost big last month have since staged protests, threatened and election officials, and are widely blamed for Sunday's drone attack that targeted the prime minister in his residence. Special correspondent Simona Fultine reports from Baghdad.
Camped outside Baghdad's fortified green zone, these men represent a new test for Iraq's young, fragile democracy. They're members or supporters of pro-Iranian parties who suffered a crushing defeat in October's parliamentary vote, losing 2/3 of their seats. Even though the US, the UN, and the EU praised it as transparent, they claim the election was rigged.
The outcome is misleading. We had our own observers who brought us evidence of our success in securing seats.
Complicating things further, many of the losing parties have armed wings. Hassan Jassim Hammoud ran as part of a political movement closely linked to an armed group that the US has designated a terrorist organization for targeting American forces, 2,500 of whom are still stationed in Iraq. Hammoud failed to win a seat and says his supporters are ready to take action.
If there is no action and we continue to be penalized by the Election Commission and these negative results, then there will be a popular movement and these groups here will play their role.
Hammoud blames Prime Minister Mustafa al-Kadhimi as well as the US government, which backs him and which has funded the United Nations election monitoring mission, for the alleged fraud. As the country waits for final results, these men too wait for further instructions.
On Monday, Iraq's election commission finalized the manual recount to address the complaints filed by the losing parties. No major discrepancies were found, meaning that the preliminary results are likely to be endorsed by Iraq's Supreme Court. But these groups have shown time and again that they don't respect the rule of law.
The protests turned violent last Friday when hundreds tried to breach the Green Zone, a fortified district that houses embassies and government offices. 2 men were killed when security forces opened fire. Both were members of another paramilitary group whose leader has been sanctioned by the US for human rights abuses. Here he is, visiting the protest site and threatening Prime Minister Kadhimi.
You, Kadhimi, hear it from me. Revenge for the blood of the martyrs is our responsibility, which will be achieved by putting you on trial.
Hours later, 3 armed drones targeted the Prime Minister's residence in the most brazen attack yet on the state's authority. Kadhimi escaped unscathed and called for calm. President Biden denounced what he called a terror attack. But some observers say the strike is an unsubtle negotiating tactic to extract concessions in forthcoming talks over government formation.
As soon as we have the election announcement, the final results announced, then we will move to the next stage, which is the beginning of the real negotiation. You will see most of what is taking place right now is going to disappear.
And yet, this election has exposed the deepening divisions among Shia parties, which have ruled Iraq through consensus since the 2003 US-led invasion. That is raising fears of an intra-Shia war. Influential cleric Muqtada al-Sadr, who has cast himself as a nationalist and whose party won the election, said he wants to form a majority government, a break with the previous practice of dividing government posts among all elected parties. That idea of a majority government is firmly rejected here at the protest site.
It's impossible. This will not happen. Why? Because Muqtada Sadr doesn't represent the Shia. He only represents one side.
For now, an uneasy calm has settled over Baghdad's streets, but with both Sadr's supporters and the Iran-linked parties armed to the teeth, the failure to reach a political agreement could ignite fresh conflict. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Simona Fultine in Baghdad.